Greetings to everyone listening and watching, wherever you may be. Buenos días a todos. Bonjour à tous. Let me begin by thanking the organizers of this session of the tribunal for inviting me to say a few opening remarks before the case of the Mer de Glace is formally opened. I am neither a legal scholar nor a glaciologist or an ecologist specializing in aquatic ecosystems. I am an anthropologist with almost 50 years of experience sharing the life of native peoples in the upper Amazon, in particular the Achua in Ecuador. And it is thanks to them that I understood that what we call nature is in reality an abstraction. Let me explain this. Like other Amazonian natives, the Achua practice slash and burn cultivation, which has had the effect of profoundly transforming the forest. To open a garden, they clear a plot in the forest, burn the vegetal debris, and plant around 60 different species of cultivated plants in the ash litter. But they also transplant in their gardens an almost equal number of forest species, usually fruit trees and palm trees. After 3 or 4 years of using a garden, its yield diminishes and the Achua abandon it to open another one further away. The forest then colonizes the plot and the cultivated plants disappear, but the transplanted forest species remain at a higher density than would be found, so to speak, naturally. Most native dwellers of the Amazonian rainforest proceed in the same manner. And if we envision this process taking place since the beginning of the domestication of plants in the Amazon about 10,000 years ago, it means that the structure of the forest has been profoundly altered by human presence. This kind of research, I wasn't the only one to do it. Many colleagues also did research along the same lines. This kind of research has led to the understanding that the Amazonian forest is partly the unintended product of such plant management techniques. This is why it is absurd to regard the forest as wild nature. On the contrary, it is a kind of macro garden. Over many millennia, Amazonian native populations domesticated the main species cultivated there, gradually perfecting plant management techniques that were not different in principle from those they used in the management of forest resources. So slash and burn agriculture, or horticulture rather, and agroforestry are two sides of the same plant handling process. So the fact that what we call nature is often the product of human activity is also obvious in the way the Achua view their relationship with plants and animals. Although their knowledge and expertise in botany, in agronomy, in animal ethology is stunning, they do not separate their technical know-how from their ability to establish working relationships with plants and animals and spirits, all kinds of non-humans, through all kinds of propitiatory mechanisms. These mechanisms, dreams, songs, etc., are convenient means of communication, of communicating with the soul of plants and animals who are deemed to be endowed with the same attributes, but most of the same attributes that humans possess. So in spite of their distinctive appearance, plants and animals are seen by the Achua as real persons with whom they behave as social partners. Such an attitude, as most of you know, is in no way exceptional. All over the world, some peoples are conscious that non-humans do not form a domain that exists apart from humans, just to provide material and symbolic resources to the latter, but that non-humans are intrinsically enmeshed in the life of humans more and more often in an utterly negative way. This is why the notion of nature should be treated cautiously. It cannot be translated into most non-European languages and reflects a Western cosmology where humans and non-humans are ontologically distinct. It's an absurd dissociation since global warming, to begin with, has made us realize that the new climatic regime into which we have entered, call it the Anthropocene or the Capitalocene if you wish, is a terrible demonstration of the reverse. Humans have become a force of nature, or conversely, some so-called natural phenomena are partly social and historical. And this is the case for the climate as much as for the Amazonian rainforest. As a consequence, giving rights to nature is meaningless because nature is a Eurocentric metaphysical abstraction, and metaphysical abstractions cannot exert rights. The case of Ecuador, which many of you here know very well, is a sad reminder of this. The fact that nature has been endowed, or Pachamama has been endowed with rights in the Ecuadorian constitution, in no way prevented the Ecuadorian Amazon being sold to mining and oil companies, of course, to the detriment of the native populations who dwell there. This is why I favor instead giving legal personality or personhood, if you wish, to specific ecosystems clearly defined and circumscribed, which would be in a position to claim their rights through the humans who are components of the interconnected forms of life of these ecosystems, provided, of course, humans do not disrupt their balance. In such cases, sovereignty does not stem from an appropriation by humans of a piece of land, but the reverse. A mission of stewardship is entrusted to humans by a milieu, and aquatic ecosystems are particularly adequate for this reversal of the direction of appropriation because of the interconnectedness of their human and non-human components. Thus, it does not come as a surprise that the most interesting cases belong to this kind of ecosystem. The most interesting cases of granting a legal personality or even personhood belong to this kind of ecosystems, whether it's the Wanganui River in New Zealand, the Atrato River in Colombia, or perhaps even the Lake Erie on the Canada and US border. So a glacier, as the Mer de Glace, poses an altogether very different challenge because the human components of the ecosystem there are indirect or occasional. They are not as constitutive of the ecosystem as is the case in other aquatic ecosystems. And this is why I welcome this session of the tribunal for the opportunity to consider a very different case of aquatic ecosystem. So I wish you the best in discussing this hot topic for a very cold ecosystem. Thank you for your attention.